right? There's no pills or anything, right?
Exactly.
Let's find out about this. Alexis Brink, it's an honor to have you on our show. Good morning.
You pronounced it very well, by the way.
Oh, good. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Where are you?
It's very hot here in New York.
Okay.
Hazy, hot, and humid.
Well, we're in Florida, so it's nice and cool. Got a nice breeze coming in off the ocean.
Really? That's so nice. I have to come visit.
So how did you come into contact with Jin Shin? How did that happen for you?
For me, well, I was a dancer. I came to New York from Amsterdam when I was 18 to be a dancer, and I became injured. And somebody guided me to this lady by the name of Philomena Dooley, who became my teacher. And she did something with my toes, and I was able to go back to rehearsals the next day.
Holy cow.
And she taught me some simple holds that I can do on myself to maintain harmony, really. And I never had to stop dancing again, and this was an injury that I've had for years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does it involve, like, do you have to believe in it, or could you do it to an animal? Would it work just as well on some like an animal who doesn't have the understanding of belief or disbelief?
Yeah, you really don't have to believe in it because actually there is a whole system for animals as well, which is very similar, of course, the same locations that we use as for people. But it works very well on animals and on babies, as a matter of fact, very well, because they are not even, we don't even have to go past the resistance. So if you say, are you a believer?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that some people may be resistant, but, you know, in the end, in my experience, you cannot resist the energy. The energy is going to move.
Well,
there's no way to stop it.
So I want to ask you if it's connected or similar to like acupuncture, because we've had some acupuncturists in the studio with their patients, and they say unbelievable how much change can happen. And, you know, to the logical mind, you don't understand it, but yet it works. Is it the same thing?
Yeah, well, it works very similarly. Instead of needles, we use our hands, and that's one of the beautiful things about it, is that the treatment itself is very, very comfortable, and you can do it on yourself. So this is what this self-help book is about. It's how you can practice it on yourself. So it does work very similar, and it's not really a mystery, because when you open up the energy pathways and the energy can flow in the body, then the body can heal itself. And so that's the principle of it. And I think today people really do begin to understand it. I mean, if you think of yoga and getting into the breath, and it's aligning the energies in the body, really.
So how do the energy pathways get closed?
Well, that can be partly because of our lifestyle. Like, there's a lot of stress and people are working hard and bending over their computers. And so there becomes a congestion of energy. And these points, we call them safety energy locations. And they're 26 on the left and 26 on the right. They tend to lock up. They become like little gridlocks, and you can feel it as kind of people say, oh, you know, this point hurts, and that means that there is a congestion in that location. And so just simply by holding it in different combinations of sequences, you open up the energy flow. So when all those 26 safety energy locations are open, there is harmony in the body, and the energy flows in the right direction.
And you have all of the locations of the body mapped out. I mean, you've got every individual finger and the places of the fingers saying what it is. And then you've got each location on the front and back and the sides of the body all positioned. That way, when a person is doing this, they know exactly what goes where.
Yes, so thank you for mentioning this. You can take Jin Shin. Jin Shin Jitsu was brought to the United States by Mary Burmeister. I'm calling it the Art of Jin Shin. It's just easier for people to remember because Jitsu means art. So you can take the Art of Jin Shin on a very basic level by holding the fingers, and in that way helping the entire body, and using the 26 safety energy locations, or SELs, and go into more comprehensive flows. So for me, this has become a lifetime study. I'm still learning, and I love the philosophy of it. And for other people, they just hold it. They hold certain fingers to relieve anxiety or worry or certain emotions, and help their bodies in a profound way as well.
Well, that's interesting that you said emotions. I was actually going to ask that. I was wondering if it goes beyond the physical. So somebody going through some kind of maybe a depressing time in their lives, maybe something's going wrong. What does it do? Does it act as I don't know, like one of those pills that they used to give you when you were depressed? Does it act like an antidepressant?
Yeah, I mean, the way it works different from Western medicine, and I do think they are complementary. Western medicine is like you're putting a Band-Aid on the symptom. In these kind of philosophies, like the Art of Jin Shin, you go to the cause of the project, why it's there. So, for example, if somebody has a depression, it means that the energy is stuck in the head. Mm-hmm. Right? Because you feel it in the head, you have a heavy head, and so you want to bring the energy down. So within that process, then people start to feel better. And I've worked a lot with depression and anxiety, and it changes people completely. Whereas when their body adjusts, they can choose to change or sometimes even stop their medication. They go back to the doctor and they adjust it. And actually, the first story in the book is about a 16-year-old who came to me with severe depression, where she had a hard time being in school because she just had to cry so much, and after just a few sessions she felt fine. So it is really sometimes dramatic.
It's amazing.
You also say that it helps heart transplant patients and cancer patients.
Yes, it does. Well, I work with a lot of cancer patients who go through a medical treatment because it really boosts the immune system. So there's also a story in the book about a little boy that I've treated who went through chemotherapy, and it just keeps the blood counts up, it boosts the immune system, and it makes you feel better, like less nausea, less fatigued. And so it's very empowering for the cancer patients also that they are able to do something themselves to feel better and to help themselves.
All right, so I just looked up toothache, and I found the page, and this is interesting. I want the listeners to know. I do have not much. I think I just got to see a dentist or whatever. But anyway, I looked it up, right? My toothache is on my left side on the top, okay? And it says here, for a toothache on the left side, place your right hand on the outside of your right knee. You're not even near your head. And then your left hand underneath the outer right ankle bone.
Yes.
Now, what do I do? Do you just squeeze? And how long do I do that for?
Yeah, so you just hold it gently, and what happens is, well, first of all, you bring the energy down from the tooth area. You bring it down, so it's almost like an escape route. It has a place to go. So that's why we go below the waist. And so you hold it for a few minutes, and what happens is you will feel a pulsation in the different spots, and that is the energy moving actually from surface. It's the energy spirals from surface to core, all the way to skeletal, and back out to the surface. And that's just on the physical level. And so that's when you feel the pulsation. And so if you don't feel the pulsation, you can just hold it for a few minutes. If you have a toothache, you will just feel the pain diminish. Or if you have a headache, you will just feel the pain diminish.
And it says it's got something to do with the intestines. So the intestines somehow affect my teeth.
Well, you know why? Because the large intestine energy pathway, and a lot of people have heard of meridians. Those are energy pathways. So in Jin Shin Jitsu, we work with, they're similar to meridians, but they're slightly different. But the large intestine energy runs through the gum line. And so holding these safety energy locations, helping the large intestine energy, will relieve toothaches.
And you have to cross your legs
way
for
it becomes
this?
more complicated.
You have to cross your legs for this too, right?
You can. It's very important. And people are asking me this, looking at the book. It's very important that you are comfortable. So there's not really a lot of rules with it. So if you want to switch your hands around, that's fine. Or if you want to, it's important that you are comfortable so that you get into a position that works for you. So you don't have to take the position that's in the book.
Okay, let me invite the listeners to call in, because you asked before if we have listeners, and I want you to know that if you have something that maybe is bothering you, a headache that won't go away, or a hangnail, if you have anything at all, just call in. Alexis will ask you maybe more questions, and then she'll help you out. Right? Is that a good idea? Okay.
Can
I give the number real quick?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the number is 622-9622, 622-9622. Alexis is live right now. If you want to call in, she will help you out. Not bad.
Yeah.
What do the colors mean?
We are working with something called a depth, and they relate to the 5 elements. And the colors mean, I'm going to give you an example. The energy cycle of 4 steps has to do with the emotion of fear and the kidney and bladder energy. And the color is blue. And the day is Wednesday. And there are certain locations that are related to it, and a planet, and a tone, and a season. So, for example, if somebody, the taste is salt. So if somebody doesn't feel great on you were asking me about the color, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, for example, if a child is a good example, and they go to the closet and they want to wear blue-black, and we say, no, you have to wear green today, the child is actually helping themselves because they need that color to harmonize that energy. So, for example, if somebody pours a lot of salt on their food, it tells you something about that same energy level. So there's a lot to learn about this, and it's very interesting, and it's really an art of getting to know and help yourself. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. This is wonderful. I love this.
All right, let me take one call.
Yeah, or when a woman is pregnant and she has a craving for sweets, it tells you something about that energy cycle. It's that first depth energy cycle that needs to be brought up to speed. So instead of eating a lot of sugar, you may want to do a spleen flow to harmonize that energy. So it's our body talking and listening to your own body.
Okay, Alexis Brink is our guest. Her book is called The Art of Jin Shin, the Japanese practice of healing with your fingertips. And I'm taking one call at a time. So if I don't have your call right now, just wait and I will take the other calls. Good morning. You're on the air with Alexis. Thank you for calling in. Hello.
Hi, my name. Hello, it's Lynn.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Lynn, Lynn. Could you repeat the name of the book? Because I'd love to buy the book because I have a lot of stuff I need to take care of.
Mm-hmm. It's called the Art of Jin Shin. It's Jinshin.
Shin.
Shin. And it's on Amazon.
Okay.
It's also in some bookstores.
And you have a website too.
Oh, I'm glad you like to hear about it. It is, I have an institute in New York, and it is really the Jin Shin Institute's intention to open up this art to the world because it's very little known, and I really do think it should be out there as like Reiki and acupuncture and yoga, so because it's so easy to apply.
And ma'am, tell me your first name.
Lynn, Lyn.
Okay, do you know?
And
do you know where we are, Lynn?
Yeah, you're at the Paddock Mall.
Come on, I got a book for you. It'll be waiting for you.
All right, I'll have to come later today, but thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm very excited about it. It's a great program. I believe in natural healing. I go to chiropractors. I've been to acupuncture. But, it's always good to have some other system to get rid of the pain. That's terrific news. Thank you.
There you go.
Yes, wonderful.
Thank you for the call.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah. So Alexis, I mean, were you skeptical when you first went to get your foot healed?
Yes, completely, because I wasn't brought up at all. And when the woman who became my teacher, Philomena, she said, why don't you take my class next week? And I took it, and I had no clue what she was talking about energy, and I really didn't understand it. But there was something about it that made me feel connected to something bigger than myself, and being in my early 20s, that just really grabbed me, and that's why I stayed in it. It was really made a lot, in that sense, it made a lot of, it was like I was coming home.
So one quick question I have, if I were thinking about a dancer, I obviously there's a lot of pressure and potential damage to your feet because of you're moving around a lot. So if you just simply remove the pain, it could do more harm than good. But it didn't just remove the pain; it actually healed it, right?
Yes, it did, because you see, Jin Shin is a harmonizer, so we don't just suppress the symptom. It's actually the body heals on a much deeper, fundamental level. So it's not just putting a Band-Aid on it.
You also help babies. Sometimes they suck their thumb, and to get rid of them sucking their thumb, you address additional problems.
Oh, really?
And you help babies.
Yes, because, Jin Shin is really an innate part of us. Like, we are all born with this knowledge. And then if you think of a baby sucking their thumb, they're actually giving themselves Jin Shin, and we sometimes take it out and put in a pacifier, and then they're not helping themselves anymore. So, yes, we have this innate knowing. We come into the world with it, and then we forget.
Wow. So could you use Jin Shin to help somebody quit smoking or stop doing something addictive?
Yes, because there's certain holds that help with addiction.
Huh.
Because you all put it into a depth. You put we call them, instead of problems, we call them projects, because you work with them and they're fun. So you put them into these cycles of energy, and so then you decide how you're going to treat them.
And this was very close to you because you were introduced to it with your mother-in-law?
Well, no, but my mother-in-law.
Oh, through your mother-in-law. I'm sorry. I thought she was the one.
No, but a friend of mine took me to a session, and he had MS, and he was very much helped by it as well. Okay. So he said, I think this is what you should be doing. So that's when I went to look into it, and that's how I got into it.
If I did not know how to do something and I bought a book to teach me how to do it, it would take me a little while to learn it, whether it's another language or a musical instrument. Does this take some time to learn?
Well, the thing is, first of all, I made this book very accessible, so it's very easy to understand. And the thing is, you can start right away, because we do it on ourselves anyway. Like, if you think about it, we hold certain fingers or we hold the shoulder anyway. And so this just brings awareness to it, and you will learn how to go to the spot that's most helpful for you as fast as possible. So you can really start right away. I'm talking about the breath, about breathing in the book, and holding fingers. And anybody can start with that immediately, and you get the energy to move.
Now, you mentioned earlier that it was complementary to other things. So if you go to the doctor, this is not going to replace the doctor. This is going to help with whatever the doctor is doing for you, right?
Yes, also, but sometimes medication, as the body starts to, as the energy starts to move, the body repairs itself, and sometimes medicine needs to be adjusted. For example, in a lower level, they need it. And yes, it does work complementary.
You also have a
as well.
You also have a testimony in here by a lady named.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah. That was really enlightening.
There are testimonies, and I don't know which one you're referring to. I've been practicing for 30 years, so I have so many testimonies from clients. And most of my clients, they make the self-help really a big part of their life. And a lot of them practice for an hour a day. And even if I don't see them every week, they practice every day, for sure.
If we have any listeners who want to call in and get a little advice on maybe something you're going through, some pain, maybe you got arthritis, could it help with dementia, like forgetfulness?
Yes, also, and if you look at the book, the first, called The First Three, those three flows are source energy, and the first step, you place your right hand on top of the head and the left hand between the eyebrows, helps with mental clarity.
Oh, I need that. Hold on.
And so, yes, that helps to clear the mind. And, and we do this anyway. If you think about it, Larry, like, oh, I forgot. Where did I put it? Where do you place your hand?
Yeah.
Right between your eyebrows. Like, I go, oh, what was it again?
Yeah, he's doing it right now.
I have a big
You
hand.
know?
Yeah, yeah. I need this at 2:00 because that's when I really start to get I get the brain fog going on around 2:00 for me. Because I get
that tells you something too, because that's a specific energy cycle. So we look at all of that, like why at 2 in the afternoon, which energy takes the lead then, and all of that is in the book, so you can study it as much as you want or as little and get something. So yeah, Larry, just before you give this book to the caller, just check out the small intestine energy.
All right, I will do that. I will memorize it.
You have wonderful diagrams in your book as well, and you do, and you explain it very well in the written word. So a person can take this book, they can find what they feel they are experience discomfort from, and learn how to take care of it right away. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that is correct. And the thing is, it's a practice, so you can, the more you do it, the more you start to feel it and know what you need. It has a great technique, but it's really an art, so you can really put together what works for you, and that's one of the beautiful things about it, too. It's creative.
All right, let me brag about the book a little bit. I found it on Amazon. You're getting really good reviews on Amazon, and let's see, just to remind the listeners, it is called The Art of Jin Shin, Jinshin, 2 words, the Japanese practice of healing with your fingertips. Do you have a website of your, you mentioned it earlier, right, JinshinInstitute.com?
Yeah, JinshinInstitute.com, and so people can contact me there if they have questions. We do have an institute, so we have classes, and I offer them by webinar as well, self-help classes. We have one coming up next week. And there's also a practitioner in Gainesville, actually. So.
Oh, really?
I looked her up. Yeah. So her name is Christina Ury, E-U-R-Y, and so she has been practicing for about 12 years.
Oh my gosh.
So if somebody's interested, they can go see her.
And where are you in New York City? Where are you?
We're in Manhattan.
I mean, more specific. What's your street? What's your address, basically?
Right now we are on East 82nd Street, and we're opening a big location on 104th Street in the fall. We have a big pop party for the book, so if anybody wants to come to New York.
I was born right there.
September 19th.
I was born right there on 100th Street, so just a few blocks away.
Really?
Yeah, a long time ago. I don't remember it, but I was born.
So maybe come visit again, Larry.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Robin and I are up there a lot, so maybe we'll pop in one day and do some Jin Shin with you.
Yeah, this
Absolutely.
is a wonderful book. It's great.
You sent us 2 of them, so I want to give the other one away. I gave one away. I'd like to give the other one away. Don't worry, I'll practice my thing for my tooth. Plus, I can buy my own.
Maybe keep one. Keep one for you and Robin, right?
No, I'll buy one.
Yeah, we'll buy her.
622-9622 if you want the other book. Alexis, thank you so much for being on the air with us today. Are you there? Uh-oh. Alexis,
Yes.
Yeah, there she is.
Hi.
Good morning. You've got the book. Who's this?
It's Gareth, and oh my goodness, am I excited about this.
Well, you got it, Gareth.
All right. Well, I do believe that God has given us so many ways. There's so many blessings that we can use, and there are so many that we don't know about. What a gift this will be for a lot of us.
I think you're right.
I will share the book with the library when I'm through with it.
All right.
And I'll probably be getting some more for gifts. Thank you.
Excellent.
So much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And Alexis, I cut her off accidentally, I think, by answering the phone. I don't know. I did it wrong, Robin. But Alexis, if you're listening to the recording after the fact, thank you so much for being on the air with us today. The Art of Jin Shin. Really, what a fascinating topic. We'll take a little break. We'll be right back. This is The Source, WOCA Ocala.
Fox News. I'm Chris Foster. The June employment reports released by the Labor Department finding 224,000 new jobs added to the economy last month.
The expectation was around 160,000. May's disappointing total of 75,000